when partner opens a minor. If we don't have the 4-card major, then we should be thinking no trump. And your third choice really should be to raise partner's minor. And frankly, you know, I mean, there are a number of hands where, say, partner opens a club or a diamond, and you have good support for that minor, but you should still be bidding a major first or bidding no trump first. Remember that if need be, you can always go back to that minor. You can always show a delayed preference for partner's minor if you need to. And then the immediate raise of partner's minor should be less common. But it does happen sometimes. So this is our little M. Now, if we're just playing standard stuff, and we are not playing inverted minors, what do these bids show? 1 club, 2 club, 1 diamond, 3 diamonds. Well, this is like 6 to 9 point wise, right? And then this is invitational, right? You know, good 10 to bad 12 maybe. You know, it was 12 is always kind of, you know, right on the fence there. Some 12 counts we might want to insist on games. Some we may want to treat only as invitational. This is standard minor raises here. Are either of these bids by responder forcing?
No.
No, opener can pass either one, right?
Right.
All right, that's the problem with standard bidding. And I don't, particularly the students that I play with regularly at the club, you know, I don't, if they don't play inverted minors, I don't want to push them into inverted minors before they're comfortable with it and before they're ready. But the fact of the matter is, it is really awkward not to be able to raise partner's minor and have it be forcing for a round. That's the problem you run into. Especially when the priority is so much on no trump and you don't, and you want to be able to slow this auction down. You're like, okay, I want to be able to show partner fit. I want to be able to force, in some cases, for a round, and force and leave us some room and figure out if we should stay on our minor or bid no trump, right? Now, the one thing we're probably ruling out on these auctions is the major, right? And keep that in mind, that when you are raising a minor, whether you play standard or inverted, one thing they have in common, responders should not have a 4-card major. So your minor suit raises should definitely deny a 4-card major. And it would be very unusual for you to play a final contract in a major when your auction starts this way. And you know, just to give you a hand that I think will highlight what I'm talking about here and just how awkward. Maybe I should get this stuff more centered. Can you all see this hand okay? That hand. So what if I give you a hand like this? So you've got this singleton spade, ace third of hearts, nice diamond suit, king, queen, jack, 5 times, and ace, queen, 4th of clubs. All right, so in terms of high card points, 17. Your partner opens the bidding 1 diamond. So my question to you is, how do you bid this hand if you don't play inverted minors?
2 clubs.
Mm-hmm. So 2 clubs might be the least of the evils, but even that's a little strange because you only have a 4-card club suit, right? So it sounds like, yes, 2 clubs, that would, you know, I mean, you'd be setting up your game force. Partner would probably, would think that, yeah, normally when you open a diamond, a partner responds 2 clubs, it's typically at least a 5-card club suit. Because if it's not, you have a major you could bid, or you could bid no trump, or there's something else you can do, right? So 1 diamond, 2 clubs, that auction tends to suggest actual club length by responder. So that's okay, that would work here. But, you know, if you're going to be bidding minors, wouldn't you like to be able to show partner? I mean, why not support partner's minor, right? Remember that diamond opening is almost always 4 or more, so you probably have at least a 9-card diamond fit. We don't want you bidding no trump right away because of the singleton spade, right? That's not a good proposition. Well, what other options? So again, following standard bidding methods, the hand's way too good for 2 diamonds or 3 diamonds, because you're game forcing with possible slam interest, right? So you're way better even than invitational. So you might say, okay, well, what about 4 diamonds? Well, I suppose, but now you are past 3-no when partner has a minimum hand and you just wanted to be in 3-no, right? I mean, for all we know, partner has the ace, king, and queen of spades over there, right? And spades are not a problem. And by the way, the more stuff partner has in spades, the more attractive no trump is, right? Because that would be a lot of wastage in your short suit. And on those hands, usually 3-no is better than playing in the suit anyhow. On the other hand, partner could have very little wasted in spades, and this could be our 6 diamond hand. But how do you explore that in intelligent fashion? So inverted minors is the gadget that is going to solve your bidding problem for hands like this. We would love to be able to raise diamonds and have it be forcing and find out more about opener's hand. So that's perfect, right? So playing inverted minors, that's what we would do with this hand. Right? Now, of course, we don't.
Wait. What would if the responder says 1 club? What would the opener say to keep exploring?
1 club or 1 diamond?
Assume.
Because we're talking about a diamond opening, but
Yeah, that's a diamond opening, but would the opener take this as a way to explore whether it should be played in 3-no trump because of knowing that 1 club, that there's strength in the clubs?
2 clubs.
2 clubs.
2 clubs.
so we're talking. When I gave this example originally, I said partner opens a diamond. Do you want partner to open a diamond, or you want partner to open a club? Because that would change things. A
She's
little
talking about response.
For responding.
One
Okay.
diamond, 2 clubs, now what does opener say?
Well, now you're pretty much just in a standard 2/1 kind of sequence. But one of the reasons that I don't like 2 clubs is that I don't think you're going to have a hard time convincing partner that your diamonds are this good, right? That's probably the flaw of responding 2 clubs. 2 clubs is game forcing. It has the benefit of setting up your game force at a low level, and it conserves your bidding space, which is good. But then, so you can set up your force, and then you can try and go back to diamonds later. But it's, if you're going to be bidding a minor, why not raise partner's minor if you have a way to do it? I think is what we're getting at. So if you can start with 2 diamonds and have it be forcing for a round with this kind of hand, that's ideal. And so that's what you would do if you played inverted minors. And then again, this auction, after 1 diamond, 2 diamonds, this auction can go a number of different ways, and maybe you pursue slam and maybe you don't, but it gets you off to a much better start.
So in this case, if the partner has only 4 diamonds, then they would give their next best suit.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into openers rebids here in a little bit, because that is one of the areas where what you've learned about inverted minors in the past is probably going to look a little different from what we talk about today, and the methods that I recommend. So, so we're going to start with the responses, then we'll get into the openers rebids.
Okay.
A little bit later. So basically what we're doing with our inverted minors then is we're kind of flipping these 2 bids, but we're also adding the caveat that 1-2 is forcing for 1 round.
But 1-3 isn't,
1-3 is not.
okay.
So 1-2, forcing for a round, and invitational are better, right? So to make the inverted raise, you're typically going to want to have at least 10 points. One, 3, this is where I see people get a little bit hung up, and they don't have this defined as narrowly as they should. Sometimes I'll be playing and my opponents will have this auction, and the jump to 3 will be alerted as it's supposed to. Both 2 and 3 when you play inverted minors, both of those raises are alertable. And then I'll ask and they'll say, well, it's weak. And then I have to follow up and I'm like, well, can you give me a range? Because as we talked about last time, and as we talk about frequently in classes that I do, the term weak is often applied incorrectly. Remember, weak in our universe is like 0 to 5. That's truly weak, right? Mm-hmm. And so what we really want this bid to be is constructive, right? We want 1-3 to be more like 6 to 9. Now, if you've plowed through, well, actually, no. If you venture part 4 of the inverted minor series, that is going to show up any day now, you will find an added gadget that allows you to show both these hand types and the weak hand type. But for the time being, I would say don't worry about being able to make a truly weak preemptive raise at partner's minor. It's the least important thing that you need to do. It's not to say that it doesn't have some value, but I will tell you this. If I open a diamond and you jump to 3 diamonds and our agreement is that it's really weak and we're on the same page with our agreements and we've alerted it properly, yes, this is a weak raise, I will tell you that when you're playing against good competition, that will not be sufficient to keep them out of your auction. They'll make a takeout double, they'll bid they will find their major fit when you have that auction. So I don't think that there is a ton, sometimes it's useful, but what's more useful, I think, is to have that bid be a little bit constructive. And it's important to know on that 1-3 sequence exactly what partner has. Sometimes I'll sit down and I'll play with someone. I'll say, and we'll be talking about inverted minors. And I'll say, okay, what does your 3 bid look like? Is it constructive or is it weak? And the reason that I need this question answered is because if I have opened the bidding, a club or a diamond, and I have the balanced 18 or 19 points, I need to know whether or not I can bid 3 now. That's the important thing. Because if you open a diamond and your partner jumps to 3 diamonds with 2 high card points, and then you have 18, so you tried out 3 no, you're gonna be very sorry. This 3 no is not gonna play well. So that's whereas if it goes 1-3 and 3 is truly weak, opener, you should almost always be passive. So that is to play. And and part of the thinking here too, when we get into the territory of when these auctions become competitive, if we ask the question, I'd say the main benefit to playing inverted minors and having that 2 bid, having a forcing bid available, that's probably the most compelling reason to play inverted minors. But the other thing too is that, and those of you who get into duplicate games with any sort of regularity know this, that whatever comes next. If your auction starts like 1 club, 2 clubs, and 2 clubs, and that's a standard 2 clubs, it's, 6 to 9 points. How often the opponents let you play it there? They're not. They're gonna balance, they're gonna get in with a major, they're gonna do something. And maybe even this person in fourth seat gets in, but even if both of your opponents pass the first time, if they see you're about to play 2 clubs, they're gonna figure out that they probably have a fit in the major somewhere. Because, you didn't respond to major, it sounds like you can't have a major fit, but it looks like you have a good club fit. Well, if you have a fit somewhere, they have a fit somewhere. And that fit could be in diamonds, but more likely it's in a major suit. So they're gonna bid, and they're gonna make you compete to the 3 level anyhow. So the idea is, if we would always compete to the 3 level, let's just get there right away. And not even give the opponents an opportunity to start exchanging information. So that's I think one of the other reasons to do this. Now, partner opens a club, and you've got to, especially if you've got a hand with a little bit of shape, right? Partner opens a club, and let's say you have 5-card club support and 7 or 8 points, and a singleton in one of the majors, right? Aren't you always going to compete to 3 clubs with that hand if the opponents make you? Probably, right? Especially if the opponents bid the major that you have a singleton in, where you're like, well, I don't have any defense against that. You're going to compete anyhow. So, kind of same philosophy. Wherever it is we are going, let's just go ahead and get there sooner. All right. Any questions on anything we've talked about so far? All right, so one thing that we should address is, because it's another area where we see confusion, when are inverted minors on or off if the opponents do get into the bidding? Because we have a few situations that could occur, right? Well, 3 different situations that I can think of, or at least that made it into these notes that I have. All right, let's start with this one. You open a minor and left-hand opponent makes a takeout double. Responder, what are 2 clubs and 3 clubs by you? Did the meanings change? Are these still inverted responses? Or have the meanings changed?
I think they're the same.
So you would play inverted minors on over the double. Does anyone want to debate that? All right, Diane says off.
We say off.
So the standard treatment is that we actually retreat, at least is it with the 2 club bid, is that we go back to just a standard meaning. The 2 clubs over the double would just be like 6 to 9 with club support. And if we do that with 2 clubs, what is 3 clubs?
Invitational.
So most people are playing 3 clubs here as weak.
Yeah. Oh, as we.
Yes. Now we do introduce your weak raise because there is competition.
All right.
And it tends to be more useful at this point to play any jump raise of opener suit, and this would apply to a major suit too. I don't remember if we talked about that last week, but same thing. 1 heart double, 3 hearts. Commonly played as weak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we may have mentioned it last. Yeah. All right. So why? Why are we changing the meaning? Because double didn't take up any bidding space. Double didn't prevent us from making all of our normal bids. Why are we changing our system? The answer to that is because now, any hand that is invitational or better
Redouble.
has something available that was not available before. You can always tell partner, I have 10 or more points, and redouble's unlimited. You can always start with redouble. And this is your way of saying about, now the one thing about redouble is that at this stage opener has no idea what your hand looks like in terms of suits, how balanced it is. I tend to not redouble if I have a hand that is, I like the hand to be defensive oriented. When I redouble, I tend to either have, and you know, I won't spend too much time because redouble is kind of a class on its own. But redouble kind of suggests to partner, hey, this is our hand, and the opponents may not have a good place to play. So usually when I redouble, either I have a balanced hand, or if it's unbalanced, my shortness is in my partner's suit. Because if this is kind of a misfit hand, it can be really desirable to defend if the opponents get into trouble. Now, usually the opponents don't get too high on these auctions. Usually they don't get past the 1 or 2 level, because if we have an opening bid and a takeout double and you have a redouble, what does that leave for the person who hasn't bid yet? Probably a really bad hand, right? And they are bidding under duress, just taking their preference to partner's takeout double, just trying to find a place where they won't get punished, right? And hopefully being taken off the hook by you as you mosey on toward perhaps your game or whatever. New suits are still forcing, just like they are without a double, right? So my feeling is on these auctions, if you do have a 4-card major, I usually just go ahead and bid it. I don't, in other words, I don't redouble every time I pick up 10-point hand. I think a lot of times you're better off just to go ahead and make your normal bid. You know, you might have an 8-card major fit. Just because they're making a takeout double of a minor doesn't mean you can't have an 8-card heart or spade fit here. So, you know, you're not compelled to redouble, but it is available to you.
So what does that say in terms of points?
Redouble's usually 10 or more.
Okay.
So it's kind of ambiguous to start, and it takes another round or two of bidding to you know, really let partner know what the nature of your redouble looks like. So,
Do you redouble with 5 clubs
would I redouble with 5
and
clubs?
11 points?
So you could.
12.
Ideally, we have another gadget in here. But is anybody familiar with Jordan?
Or Dormer? It's in our book.
Okay. Yeah. You do
Jordan.
ultimately have a way, which I don't think we'll get into today. But there are gadgets you can play, conventional gadgets, where you can tell partner right away that you have a limit raise in clubs. And look, if you want to,
Yeah.
now again, it may be inconsistent with other parts of your system, and so I want you to do what is going to be easiest for you to remember. If it is easier for you to play 3 clubs as a limit raise, and you don't want to play it as weak, that is absolutely fine. If the weak raise is not important to you, and we're not playing the weak raise on our auctions where the opponents weren't betting, and you want to play them on over the over double, that's fine. So yeah, I'll leave that for you.
So-
Again, once the opponents have gotten their takeout double in, which suggests that they have both majors, right? I mean, they don't absolutely guarantee 4 hearts and 4 spades, but often they will. Once the opponents have gotten that takeout double in, if you jump to 3 clubs and it's weak, and your left-hand opponent who hasn't bid yet wants to bid 3 hearts or 3 spades, you're not going to scare them off from doing that. So, yeah.
Over the double, is the club raise alertable?
Generally, everything over interference is not alertable. So whether you play 3 clubs as limit raise or you play 3 clubs as weak, it's actually not alertable. And it is the opponent's responsibility to look at your card or ask how you play it. So here, this stuff is alertable because there's no interference. ACBL makes that distinction. There are a lot of things that are alertable when there's no competition that aren't alertable when there is competition.
So are you saying that, I am a little confused here. We use this method if there's no interference. But if there's interference, we're gonna go to the old method? Or do you always use this method?
Typically.
Whether.
Yeah, typically things change. So we'll say this, whether your 3 clubs, the main point to get across from this auction is that 2 clubs and 3 clubs are not inverted races when there's a double.
Okay, not inverted.
Not inverted.
But why
So
not?
that one
Huh?
club, 2 clubs is 6 to 9.
2 clubs is 6 to 9.
And
3 clubs
this
is
is-
usually weak, but you could
Yeah.
play it as the limit raise. You could
Right.
go back to the standard treatment
Okay.
Why not?
because
Why
you have
not?
redouble.
W-
Because all of the hands that you might use
Inverted minus.
inverted the forcing raise could start with redouble because that's what the inverted raise is, right? It's 10 plus. Redouble is 10 plus.
Well, redouble might then have 5
Yeah.
clubs?
It could.
Okay,
It
okay.
could.
That's what Wilt told us to fall back on because he didn't want to introduce dormer as our book suggested, which I think is the same as Jordan.
Oh,
He
okay.
suggested
Yeah,
that
it may have a difference.
He
yeah.
suggested that we just fall back on redouble.
Yeah. Yeah,
For
that's
now.
fine. I mean, at least if you redouble, partner will at least get the picture that hey, this is your hand, right? Because I opened and you have at least 10, we think this is our hand, not the opponent's hand. And when we say our hand versus the opponent's hand, what we're talking about is the balance of power, right? Who has the majority of the high card points